Turkish Airlines presents Business Africa.
Hello and welcome to Business Africa with me, Ronald Katop. This week, China signals it is still in the business of financing infrastructure as its Belt and Road Initiative turns a decade old. We assess what's to come as the Signature Connectivity Program embarks on another 10 years. Also coming up, Chinese investors step up their presence in Zambia as the Southern African country further opens up the economy. We will report from a Chinese-owned steel-making plant in Lusaka. Also, the rise of Africa's fintech sector. A recent report found that Africa's fintech market will grow 13-fold to $65 billion in 2030. We report from the Africa Microfinance Week in Lome. Stay with us for the details. Thank you for joining us. World leaders gathered in Beijing last week to mark the 10th anniversary of the Belt and Road Initiative. Rolled out in 2013, BRI activity has surpassed $1 trillion, according to some estimates. The program's scope is so big that some 150 countries have signed agreements with China. At the forum, President Xi Jinping said China was making available over $100 billion to fund infrastructure. Now, before last week, speculation was rife that the BRI was losing steam. But as experts note, Beijing is simply remaking the Belt and Road.
As world leaders gathered in Beijing to mark the 10th anniversary of the Belt and Road Initiative, China is contemplating the road ahead for the program. It's credited with building critical infrastructure in developing countries, but also criticized, mostly by Western leaders, for contributing to their debt. Rolled out in 2013, it has made China the biggest financier of infrastructure in Africa. While the ambition to invest in roads and railways remains, observers say China's appetite for risk has reduced, and that Beijing will only sign checks for smaller, viable and climate-friendly projects going forward. This will mean tighter evaluation of project proposals and closer scrutiny of borrowers. China is also expected to step up investment in areas such as manufacturing and mining to make use of the infrastructure it's built. The next phase of the Belt and Road Initiative also has competitors. The G7's Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment and the EU's Global Gateway. Leveraged correctly, African countries could maximize benefits from all three global actors.
Ointerelado Moses is the Database Manager, Global China Initiative at the Boston University Global Development Policy Center. Thank you very much for your time. You attended the forum in Beijing. Was there a sense that China may be reducing the scope of the BRI?
Not necessarily. I got the sense that China has spent some time learning from its successes and some of the challenges of the first 10 years of the Belt and Road Initiative, and has aimed to still move forward with emphasizing infrastructure and connectivity, but has also now starting to incorporate green development and projects that have more of a benefit for social and environmental livelihoods. So we see, in addition to a focus on this small and beautiful approach, we also see a continual focus on still emphasizing infrastructure and connectivity.
There was a good level of African representation at the forum in Beijing. What does that say about Africa's place, about the continent's place in the next phase of the BRI?
In the next 10 years, I think we have to think about several factors on both the China side and the Africa side when it comes to the Belt and Road Initiative. We're seeing that, yes, given this recent announcement of still a focus on infrastructure and connectivity, plus, a small is beautiful approach, we anticipate that lending will rebound. But I still caution that it probably won't rebound to previous levels. And the reason why is because on the China side, at the Belt and Road Initiative and even just surrounding conversations, we heard a lot of mention of needing to approach infrastructure projects with more economic feasibility, needing to apply certain risk management processes and tools to different infrastructure projects. And then on the Africa side, many of Africa's top borrowers of Chinese financing have a level of debt stock and debt service that really constrain the amount that they can absorb in new Chinese financing. So in the future, I think there will be more of a focus on diversification of different types of financing, at least relationships that will include loans, but also include a focus on equity financing, aid, and trade support as well.
President Xi Jinping said Chinese policy banks would make available over $100 billion to fund infrastructure. Not so much is known about this money at the moment, but how is Chinese lending going to evolve going forward, you think?
In the future, we will see, projects that in the past have received large-scale financing take a lot longer to get to the completion or the financing signing stage because of a lot more due diligence on projects, a lot more focus on economic feasibility and the type of future impacts that the projects could have on biodiversity as well as the community in general. So I think projects could take a lot longer to get to, and then we may see, again, a lot more involvement of blended finance through adding equity and aid to different financial packages in order to make certain packages more concessional.
Interrelado Moses, nice to have you. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
China's investment in Zambia has grown in recent years to include interests in mining, agriculture, and manufacturing. Aided by President Hichilema's pro-business attitude, economic ties between Zambia and China appear to be growing stronger.
Businesses owned and operated by the Chinese in Zambia have become key sources of employment for local people and are contributing to the economic growth of the country. Their presence in Zambia is strengthening bilateral relations between the two nations. Headquartered in Lusaka, Good Time Steel produces various steel bars, including galvanized tubes.
To invest in different countries, the most motivation is the business opportunities. So we know Zambia is one of the best investment destinations in whole Africa, even the whole world. The best weather, best people, a lot of business opportunities. That's a few sections which drive us to Zambia.
Other benefits include transfer of technological expertise, which improves productivity. This analyst also believes that Chinese businesses are cashing out on their presence in Africa.
Africa is a very attractive destination for China because of all the resources that are here. In terms of global growth, in the next 50 years, all the resources that are required for us to be able to achieve that growth, a lot of them are housed on the African continent. And this is important for the Chinese industry, to be able to have this relationship with both Africa and Zambia in terms of accessing these minerals.
In 2020, Zambia defaulted on its sovereign debt and became a test case for a debt restructuring framework. The nation struck a deal with its bilateral creditors last June.
Now, African fintechs are projected to grow 13-fold to $65 billion in 2030, according to a recent report, the fastest of any region in the world. Sage Kofi reports now from the Africa Microfinance Week in Lomé.
Olivier Quet and his partner Amos Evos are riding on the wave of new technological changes in the world of finance. Since 2017, they have been providing innovative technologies through BFT, their Pan-African fintech, with the ambition of meeting the intrinsic and regulatory requirements of the financial sector. We specifically offer financial institutions a solution, enabling them to dematerialize their financial services, embed them on an electronic payment terminal or tablet, and enable agents to offer services remotely. According to a recent study, the fintech sector could see a dramatic increase in revenues by 2025. Forecasts indicate an eightfold increase compared to 2020, reaching an impressive $30 billion. At the 60th edition of African Microfinance Week in Lome, Togo, fintechs were at the heart of discussions. Today, they represent a major pillar of financial inclusion. Partnerships was a key element discussed and highlighted at the conference. We need to welcome as many value-added players as possible in the inclusive finance sector. So fintechs are welcome, and I think they can offer collaborations and complementaries with traditional inclusive finance. Many banks are struggling to adapt to the constant advances in the financial sector, and some fintech startups are positioning themselves to assist them in this transition.
And that wraps up this episode of Business Africa. With me, Ronald Katop. The news continues on air and online. Bye for now, and I'll see you on the next episode of Business Africa.
Business Africa was presented by Turkish Airlines.